A retelling of the Nun's Priest's Tale from the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. Although the nun's priest is not described in the prologue, his tale is one which Chaucer finished, perhaps writing in a priest's voice rather than a nun's or, as the very clearly described prioress, in order to impress upon his reader a double meaning to this story. The priest's tale isn't full of Catholic morals, except the priest takes a decided tone in regard to the human women in the story, and his stance that a rooster should never heed anything a hen says. Clearly, the priest had some grudges. Once upon a time, a widow and her two daughters lived and worked on a farm. They were poor, yet they kept the place perfectly clean and showed their decent morals by eating only plain foods and drinking only water from the well or milk from their cows. One of their prized possessions is a lovely rooster named Chanticleer. This pampered rooster has 7 hens, but his favorite, as she is the most beautiful, is Pertolot. One night, Chanticleer has a nightmare in which a weird, red-furred creature, because he's never seen a fox, attacks him. Chanticleer confides this to Pertolot, but she is less than understanding. She questions his manhood and suggests he get over it and not eat so late at night, as indigestion is probably the cause of all this trouble. Chanticleer argues that dreams are important and that they have the power to predict the future. But she goes on and on so long that he gives up the ghost and says he will take her advice. Later that day, of course, a brilliantly furred fox with coal-black tips on his ears and tail does indeed find his way into the chicken yard when the widow and her daughters are not in sight, and all the hens are sunning themselves. As foxes always are in these tales, he thinks himself quite wise. The fox Reynard knows Chanticleer will flee and or put up a fight, both causing his meal to be trouble. But Reynard also sees that this rooster is clearly vain. Reynard suggests he is there simply to hear Chanticleer sing. He claims to have known Chanticleer's parents, and so, via hearing their music, is positive Chanticleer's crowing must be amazing. Chanticleer, as all self-absorbed creatures are, is clueless about the subterfuge happening beneath his beak. Chanticleer preens, raises his wings, stretches his neck up, and opens his beak to croon. But as soon as he is in position, the wily fox seizes Chanticleer and races toward the tree line. Chanticleer recovers quickly and begins to squawk at the top of his lungs. The hens join in, terror seizing them as their lover and leader is being carried off in the fearsome jaws of such a horrible beast. The widow and her daughters drop their chores and come running pell-mell after the fox. But Chanticleer can see that they will never be able to catch up and rescue him. Despite his vanity and his precarious position, he quickly gathers his wits about him. Chanticleer slyly suggests to Reynard that he has every right to turn around and shout at the hens and women to shut up and turn back, feigning his surprise that Reynard would not want to put them all in their well-deserved place. Now, it's time for the fox's pride to dull his wits, for Reynard, seizing the bait, opens his mouth to curse them all out. Chanticleer takes full advantage of Reynard's slackened jaw, flaps his wings as hard as he can, and rises straight up into the nearest tree. Reynard, realizing his mistake, tries to backpedal by convincing the rooster he was just carrying him off to hear him better. But Chanticleer has learned, well, at least this lesson. Reynard gives up the game and decides to fill his belly elsewhere. You and I, dear reader, are left to ponder the theme of vanity and the 14th century Catholic Church's attitude against women being allowed to voice opinions or give advice.